Okay, welcome in one and all. Now going to be reviewing all of Saturday's action from the NHL. And Saturday in the NHL means there's a lot of games and a lot of teams taking place and playing against each other, I should say. We had 13 games, therefore 26 teams were competing against one another. Starting with the teams you see on your screen as the Montreal Canadiens went into Tampa Bay, continuing their road trip, taking on the Lightning. So in the first period, Yoel Armia would give the Habs a 1-0 lead, getting his 11th goal of the season from Goulet and Newhook a minute and 27 seconds into that frame. With 5 minutes and 26 seconds remaining, Jake Evans would get his 5th goal of the year from Brendan Gallagher, and at that point, it was 2-0 in favor of Montreal after 20 minutes of play. Braden Point would cut the deficit in half, 7 minutes and 44 seconds into that second period, getting his 32nd goal of the year from Stamkos and Kucherov. Cirelli would tie the game up with 4 minutes and 11 seconds remaining. After 40 minutes of play, we were all tied up. In the third period, Josh Anderson would get his 8th goal of the year from Caulfield and Arbor 6 minutes and 23 seconds into the frame. And despite the fact that the Habs are on the power play for the second game in a row, they gave up a shorthanded goal. Tyler Mott would tie the game up, getting his 6th of the year with 9 minutes and 42 seconds remaining. We wouldn't need extra time in this one to settle this one, but unfortunately it was not settled in overtime, so therefore we have to jump ahead to the shootout where Victor Hedman would play the hero, and the Tampa Bay Lightning would rally from 2-0, and they would win this game 4-3. So with that, the Lightning are sitting at 33, 24, and 6. They still have the number 2 wildcard spot. And as for the Habs, they're 23, 28, and 10. Alrighty, the next matchup took place in Carolina, where we have the Hurricanes, and they were playing against the Jets. All right, let's take a look and see how this game went. So there was no scoring in the first. We had to jump ahead to the second, where Nietzsche would kick things off for the Hurricanes with 9 minutes and 48 seconds remaining. That would be his 19th goal of the season from Noesen and Chatfield. Teravainen would increase the lead to 2-0 with 4 minutes and 6 seconds to go. That would be his 19th of the year from Aho and Svechnikov. And Aho would then get on the goal score sheet himself, notching a goal and assist in this matchup, getting his 24th of the year from Svechnikov and Bunting. And that would be a power play goal with just 48 seconds to go in the frame. After 40 minutes of play, it was 3-0 in favor of the Hurricanes. Cue the comeback for the Jets. Kyle Connor would kick things off in the third, getting his 25th of the year from Ehlers and Morrissey, a minute and 36 seconds into that frame. A minute and a half after that, Niederreiter would cut the deficit to 3-2. That would be his 15th of the year from Schmidt and Lowry. Scheifele would tie the game up with a power play goal 5 minutes and 40 seconds into that frame. Sean Monahan would then get the go-ahead goal with 3 minutes and 13 seconds to go. The guy's been killing it, I'm not going to lie. And then Niederreiter would increase the lead to 5-3, adding a very late goal, his 16th of the year from Iafallo and Josh Morrissey. So 5 goals in the third period were scored, all from the Jets. So with the victory, the Jets are sitting at 38, 16, and 5 in second place in that Central Division. And as for the Hurricanes, despite the loss, they're still sitting in second in the Metropolitan Division with a record of 36, 19, and 6. All right. The next matchup took place in Detroit, where we had 2 teams from the Atlantic Division competing against each other. All right, let's take a look and see how this one went. So there's no scoring in the first. We have to jump ahead to the second period, 8 minutes and 50 seconds into that frame. Braden Montour would get his 6th goal of the year from Rodriguez and Lundell. Sam Reinhart would increase the lead to 2-0 with 6 minutes and 54 seconds remaining. That would be his 42nd goal of the year. Unreal. And Barkov and Montour assisted on that goal as well. So after 20 minutes of play, after 40 minutes of play, I apologize, it was 2-0 in favor of the Panthers. In the third period, Evan Rodriguez would increase the lead to 3-0, getting his 9th of the season from Lister Ryan and Lundell. and Verhaeghe would get a power play goal with 6 minutes and 58 seconds to go. That would be his 31st goal of the year for Montour and Matthew Tkachuk. So the Panthers went into Detroit after playing the night before and managed to get 2 points out of the Red Wings. So with the victory, the Panthers are sitting at 41-16-4, still sitting in first place in the Atlantic Division. And despite the loss, the Red Wings are still in a wild card spot with a record of 33-22-6. All right, the next matchup took place in Seattle, where we had two teams from the Pacific Division duking it out. And Kraken were playing host to the Edmonton Oilers. So no scoring in the first. We go ahead to the second with 9 minutes and 48 seconds remaining. Draisaitl would record his 30th goal of the year for McDavid. In the third period, Brett Kulak would increase the lead to 2-0, notching his third goal of the season from Nugent Hopkins and Draisaitl 8 minutes and 2 seconds into that period. With 6 minutes and 37 seconds remaining, Tolvanen would cut the deficit in half, getting the Seattle Kraken on the board, a power play goal to note, assisted by McCann and Vince Dunn. Unfortunately for the Kraken, they were not able to mount a comeback, so 2-1 would be the final score. So with the win, the Oilers are now sitting second in that Pacific Division, the first time all season that they've been in that position. They're just now 1 point ahead of the Vegas Golden Knights, and I believe they also have 3 games on hand too, so if they can go on a bit of a winning streak, they might be able to separate themselves from Vegas. But again, a point doesn't say a whole lot. So with that being said, the record is 36-20-2. And as for the Seattle Kraken, after the loss, they're 26-23-11. They are currently 7 points out of a wild card spot. All right, the next matchup took place where? In Nashville. Two teams from the Central Division. And both these teams are doing quite well, if I want to be completely honest with you. So we had the Predators on one side and the Avalanche on the other. All right. Let's see how this game unfolded. So Cody Glass would kick things off in the first with 4 minutes and 42 seconds to go. That would be his third goal of the year from Sissons and McDonough. Nathan McKinnon would tie the game up with roughly 3 minutes remaining in the period. His 37th goal of the year from Rantanen and Devin Taves. After 20 minutes of play, it was all tied up at 1. Glass would score in the second period with 5 minutes and 34 seconds to go. That would be his second goal of the game, his fourth of the season from Novak and Carrier. After 40 minutes of play, it was 2-1 in favor of Nashville. In the third, Ryan O'Reilly would get a power play goal, increasing the lead to 3-1. That would be his 22nd goal of the season from Josi and Forsberg. Novak would increase the lead to 4-1, getting a power play goal of his own with 2.5 minutes to go, his 13th of the season, assisted by Saros. Glass would complete the natural hat trick, getting his 5th goal of the season from McDonough and McCarron, and that goal happened with just 53 seconds to go on the clock. So 5-1 would be the final score in favor of the Predators. So with the victory, Nashville are now sitting first in the wildcard position with a record of 35-25-2. And despite the loss, the Avalanche are still 7 points ahead of Nashville, and they are currently sitting third in that Central Division with a record of 37-20-5. All right, the next matchup took place between the Blues and the Wild. Alrighty, let's take a look and see how this one went and who won. So Torpachenko would kick things off in the first, getting his 10th goal of the year from Baranovich and Brandon Saad, 6 minutes and 34 seconds into that frame. In the second, Merrill would tie the game up just over halfway through that period, 9 minutes and 54 seconds remaining. That would be his third goal of the season. Jake Neighbors would get a power play goal with 7 minutes and 7 seconds to go. That would be his 20th goal of the year from Rob Thomas and Torrey Krug. After 40 minutes of play, it It was 2-1 in favor of St. Louis. Torrey Krug would add a very, very late goal in the third period, just 49 seconds remaining. His third of the year, assisted by Justin Falk, giving the Blues a 3-1 lead, and that's where we would stand at the end of regulation. So with the win, I believe the Blues are still on the outside looking in when it comes to the playoffs, but we'll see where they're at record-wise. So with the win, they're 31, 26, and 3. They're just now 5 points out of a playoff spot. As for the Minnesota Wild, they are 28, 27, and 6. They are 8 points out of a wild card spot. So I got a funny feeling once the trade deadline comes, there's a very good chance they could be sellers at the deadline. All right. The next matchup took place in Buffalo. We had the Sabres. They're playing host to the Vegas Golden Knights. Hey, it's Eichel's return for the second time. Where are we? So in the first period, Jeff Skinner would open up the scoring just a minute and 55 seconds into that frame, notching his 20th goal of the year. In the second, Dylan Cousins would increase the lead to 2-0 with a shorthanded goal. 54 seconds remaining on the clock, 2-0 in favor of the Sabres. Bryson would get his second goal of the year, assisted by Waugh and Potter, and that would be a power play goal. A minute and 46 seconds into that frame, William Karlsson would tie him up at 2, getting his 21st of the year from Marchessault and Cotter. That goal happened 4 minutes and 28 seconds into the frame. Jursons, if I'm pronouncing that name correctly, would give the Sabres a 3-2 lead with 5 minutes and 14 seconds into that frame. His 7th goal of the year, assisted by Eddie Robinson. In the third, Okposo would double up the lead to 4-2, 2 minutes and 20 seconds into the frame. That would be his 12th goal of the year, assisted by Skinner and Mittelstadt. Owen Power would get his 4th goal of the year, increasing the lead to 5-2, assisted by Bryson and Robinson. And with that goal being scored, it happened at 6 minutes and 26 seconds into the period. Mittelstadt would add a goal for the Sabres. That would be his 14th of the season from Power and Jeff Skinner, a power play goal to note. And then Dylan Cousins would break out on a shorthanded chance, and he would bury it, notching his 14th of the season from Power and Yakijuna, if I'm pronouncing that name correctly. Okay, Ottawa and Philly. What was that? Ottawa, Philly. Okay. So in the first, Fairbury would kick things off just 18 seconds into that frame, assisted by Sealer, making it 1-0 in favor of the Predators. Tarasenko, I imagine he'll be up for a trade at some point in time. He would record his 17th of the season from Piala and McDonough. So in the first period, the Senators went into Philadelphia. Sorry, I just had a major brain fart there. I apologize. So Fairbury would kick things off in the first, getting his 18th of the season from Sealer. A minute and 8 seconds into that frame, Tarasenko would tie the game up in the second period, getting his 17th of the year from Pinto and Matthew Joseph. Forster would increase the lead to 2-1 late in that second period with 47 seconds to go. That would be his 15th goal of the season, assisted by Scott Lawton. Forster would then get his second goal of that period with just 2 seconds remaining, increasing lead to 3-1 in favor of the Flyers. And the third, Tim Chabot, what's his name? Tim Chabot. It's got to be Tim Chabot. Anyway, I'll just say Chabot. Would cut the deficit to 3-2, getting his 6th of the year from Kubalik and Claude Giroux. And with just when it looked like the game was going to end 3-2, Cam York would add a very late goal with just a second remaining on the clock, but that would be his 9th of the season. So 4-2 would be the final score in favor of the Flyers. So with the win, Philadelphia is sitting 32, 23, and 7. They're still holding on to that third spot in the Metropolitan Division. As for the Ottawa Senators, again, it's looking like another season without any postseason action. They are now 19 points back of the Lightning for that wildcard spot. So yeah, most likely, very good chance that they're going to be sellers when the trade deadline comes around. They have a record of 25, 31, and 3. All right, the next matchup was an original 6 matchup between the New York Rangers and the Toronto Maple Leafs. Alrighty, let's take a look and see how this game went. In the first, Lafreniere would kick things off for the Rangers with 8 minutes and 27 seconds remaining. That would be his 18th of the year, assisted by Fox. In the second period, Mitch Marner would tie the game up, getting his 24th goal of the year, assisted by his buddy Austin Matthews. And that goal happened 3 minutes and 54 seconds into the frame. Vincent Trocheck would give the Rangers a 2-1 lead, which is over 5 minutes into that period. His 21st of the year, assisted by Lafreniere and Panarin. But that lead didn't last too long. Just over almost 4 minutes after that, William Nylander would tie the game up, getting his 33rd goal of the year from Max Domi and Jake McCabe. In the third period, John Tavares would increase the lead to 3-2, giving the Leafs their first lead of the night, his 18th of the year from Jarren Krok and Morgan Riley. Vincent Trocheck would score his second goal of the game, assisted by Lafreniere and Panarin, and that goal happened with 1 minute and 7 seconds to go in the period. We would need extra time in this one. Unfortunately, overtime did not settle a winner. We would have to go to a shootout where Max Domi would get the game-winning goal. So the Maple Leafs, after the win, they are sitting at 35, 17, and 8. They are currently sitting third in that Atlantic Division. As for the Rangers, they're in the Metropolitan Division. They are still in first place by 6 points. They have a record of 40, 17, and 4. All right, the next matchup took place on Long Island, where we had the Bruins, and they went into New York to take on the Islanders. Okay, let's take a look and see how this game went. So in the first, Palmieri would kick things off for the Islanders, just 3 minutes and 32 seconds into that frame, assisted by Dobson and Lee. Kyle Palmieri would get his second goal of the game, power play goal, 5 minutes and 27 seconds into that period, giving the Islanders a 2-0 lead at that point, assisted by Horvat and Barzal. And who else but Kyle Palmieri would then get a natural hat trick in the first period. Assisted by Pollock and Peugeot. So 3-0 would be the final score. 5-1 would be the final score in this one. What is going on here? Oh my gosh. Tell you, if everything can go right, that would just be too easy. Okay, so I already went over the game recap. Who won? Yeah, the Islanders won 5-1. Did I talk about all the goals? Sorry, my app just closed on my phone, so yeah, so in the second, we would increase lead to 4-0, getting a 16th of the year from Pajot and Balmeri, just 46 seconds into that frame. Brock Nelson would would increase lead to 5-0, getting his 20th of the year from Horvat and Mike Riley. McLaughlin would score with 5.5 minutes to go, getting his first of the season, assisted by McAvoy and James Van Riemsdyk. All right, so with the victory, the Bruins are still second in that Atlantic Division with a record of 35-13-4. And there's no one else to look up. Hold on a second. Boston, New York Islanders. So the Islanders have now pulled within 6 points out of Lightning for that last playoff spot. Or they're 5 points behind the Flyers for third in that division. So anything can happen on any given night. All right. Now we're off to two teams that are playing very piss poor, to say the least, as the Chicago Blackhawks played host to the Columbus Blue Jackets. All right, let's get the team's logos up on the screen. So we have the Chicago Blackhawks, clearly in a rebuild, and they're taking on the Blue Jackets. There. In the first, Texier would kick things off for the Columbus Blue Jackets, just 33 seconds into that frame, his 9th of the year. Boo Jenner would score with 5 minutes and 55 seconds to go, his 19th of the season from Rowensky and Roslovic. In the second period, Oliver would Kurashev, Bedard, and Donato. 2 minutes and 28 seconds to go, 2-1 after 20 minutes of play. Oliver would get his second goal of the season from Rowensky, 3 minutes and 9 seconds into that frame, giving the Jackets a 3-1 lead. Sillinger would get on the goal scorer sheet himself, getting his 11th of the year, assisted by Nylander and Boqvist. And that goal happened with about 8 minutes to go in the frame. In the third period, the Blackhawks would cut the deficit in half, getting his 7th goal of the year was Donato, assisted by Kurashev and Vlasic. Johnny Gaudreau would cut the deficit to 5-2, getting his 9th of the year from Roslovic, and that goal happened with 2 minutes and 25 seconds remaining on the clock. So with the victory, the Blue Jackets have the worst record in the Metropolitan Division with a record of 20-13-10. And Florida's 41-16-4. Very, very nice. All right. This is the next matchup. All right, the next matchup took place in Dallas as we have the Stars, and they are playing against the San Jose Sharks. All right, let's get this team's logos up on the screen, and then I'll review this game. And all right, so in the first period, Eklund would kick things off for the Sharks, getting his 10th goal of the year from Kunin and Rada. Fasca would tie the game up at 1, getting his 4th of the year from Fasca and Smith. Zadina, King, strength, work. Okay. Oh my gosh, I'm having the team's logos up on the screen. I'm sorry, I just got off work. Like, my brain is just not even on right now. Okay, so the Dallas Stars, they took on the San Jose Sharks. Okay, gosh, could I do more loud? So in the first, like I said, Eklund would kick things off for the Sharks, getting his 10th goal of the year from Quinnan and Rutta, 4 minutes and 39 seconds into that frame. In the second period, Faxa would tie the game up 3 minutes, 8 seconds into that frame, getting his 4th goal of the year from Steele and Craig Smith. Tina would give the Sharks a 2-1 lead. That would be his 9th goal of the year, assist by Kunin. After 40 minutes of play, it was 2-1 in favor of the Sharks. In the third, Jason Robertson would tie the game up with a power play goal, getting his 21st goal of the year from Heiskanen and Jamie Benn. And with that being said, Jamie Benn would get the shootout winner. There was no scoring in overtime. And Jamie Benn would get the overtime winner, making it 3-2 in favor of the Stars. Okay, now the last matchup, I do believe, unless I skipped something, took place in Calgary, where we had the Flames. They were playing against the Pittsburgh Penguins. This was a significant matchup, as it seems like every time you turn on the TV, another player's numbers getting rafted or up into the rafters. And last night was no exception, as Mika Kiprusoff, the former goaltender of the Penguins, who spent over almost 9 seasons with that organization, came close to winning a cup back in 2004. Unfortunately, they lost in 7 games to the Tampa Bay Lightning. So they had a bit of a nice ceremony, and obviously his numbers raised to the roof, and no other goalie or player should ever wear the number 34 as long as the Flames are in existence. All right, so in the first, Gruden would get his first goal of the season with 3 minutes and 18 seconds to go. Eller would increase the lead to 2-0 with just 34 seconds remaining. His 12th of the year from Pusaninen and Sidney Crosby. In the second, Sharon Govich would cut the deficit in half, getting his 22nd goal of the season. And where are we? So 2-1 in favor of the Penguins after 40 minutes. Jeff Carter would say, not a whole lot. Here. Oh my gosh. Holy cow. Okay, so I'll start this over again one last time. So Gruden would kick things off for the Pittsburgh Penguins, just with 3 minutes, 18 seconds remaining in that frame. Lars Eller would score with just 34 seconds to go, making it 2-1 at that point. Pustin and Crosby assisted on that goal. Sharon Govich would get his second goal of the game, his second gar that he was working on. And for Sharon Govich, that'll be his 22nd goal of the year, cutting the deficit in half to 2-1. In the third period, Jeff Carter would increase lead to 3-1, making it his 7th goal of the year from Graves and Achari, 2 minutes and 51 seconds into that frame. Kadri would tie the game up with just over 10 minutes remaining, his 22nd of the year from Uyghur and Noah Hannafin. Blake Coleman would tie the game up at 3, getting his 25th goal of the year from Majapani and Michael Backlund. So after Kadri cut the deficit to 3-2, Coleman already said did whatever he had to do, and Sharon Govich would then return. Something like that. So the victory. I don't know where I was going with this. Okay, I gotta stop this before I do something or do nothing. Anyways, that takes care of my recap from Friday night. As always, if you're new to this channel, Saturday night. Wow, this whole video could just be an entire blooper. Okay, so thanks a lot for tuning into this. No. Oh my gosh. Okay. As always, if you're new to this channel, like this type of content, please feel free to hit the sub button. I'd be very grateful and very appreciative. Until next time, take care. Wow, this was an absolute disaster.